feminine woman really should be is we support our men. We are supposed to support our king, and that's my belief. But we're supposed to support our men as queens.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that we're the absolute best versions of ourselves in doing so.
Right.
And personally what I feel is happening is that because there's such a loss in masculinity and true men stepping up to the plate and being the absolute best versions of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
women are like, you know what? If you're not going to step up, then I'm going to step up.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Cultivating You podcast with Anthony Dwayne.
Okay, everybody, welcome to another episode of Cultivating You. I'm your host, Tony, and I am here with a very special guest today. I'd like to introduce Elena Lopez. She is a childhood friend. We've been going to school since, I would say, middle school. And, she is actually considered a mentor in her community. She is a really great person. She's been a single mother for the past decade and has raised two beautiful children, strong, independent kids. That she and everybody around her is very proud of. She is the chief of staff at Premier Auto here in Tucson, Arizona, and I am just completely honored to have her on the podcast today. So welcome, Elena.
I'm honored to be asked to be on your podcast.
Yeah, no, I've been excited all week. Well, past couple weeks since I asked you to come on. You just recently had like a really amazing experience that I'm hoping that maybe we could get into and unpack a little bit today, because I think there's a lot to learn from you in that experience, and I think everybody watching and listening will take something away from it too. It's kind of crazy times that we're living in, and mindset is very important. Leadership, our beliefs in general, everything like that is just super important that we live by them, that our actions match our words and things like that. So I'm excited to get into that. But before we do start down that road, I did want to just bring up a topic that has been on my mind quite a bit over the last month or two. And I want to get your perspective on it because you're my first female guest, and recently it's something that I've been noticing in our world in general, right? Like it's almost like the divine feminine is rising in the world, and I don't know if that's like an energy that you're picking up on, mm-hmm. But obviously, like women, like, you've been oppressed for a very long time as women in general. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Fighting for rights, having autonomy over your own body, things like that, really poignant issues and things like that. And just in the last, maybe it's only me that I've been noticing it in the last 3 or 4 years. I'm sure it's been happening for much longer than that, but I feel like it's really striking me in recent times that, women are taking their power back. They're rising up. They're, you even see it in culture, like movies and things like that. Right. Like roles that were traditionally male roles are being recast as women roles. Right. Women are playing those roles. And there's a really, really great movie that I enjoyed called Woman King. Have you seen it?
Not yet.
You got to see Woman King. But Woman King is such a great metaphor for everything too, and it's because men have been basically dominating for so long, you know what I'm saying, and right. It's always like we've had to be like knocking women down or holding them down. And Woman King is great because in the movie, the leader, the woman, she gets raised to the level of king, and she sits right next to the king, and they're equals. You know what I'm saying? And, right. It's a great metaphor because it's not like women don't have to, they could, but they don't have to knock men down to bring themselves up.
Absolutely.
And we can both live on the same level. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? So I was just curious to your opinion on that. If you felt that kind of energy in the world, if it's impacted you, like how has that
right.
Resonated in your life?
I think 100% what you're saying is accurate, because if you look at what a feminine woman really should be, is we support our men. You know, we are supposed to support our king, and that's my belief, but we're supposed to support our men as queens. And that means that we're the absolute best versions of ourselves in doing so.
Right.
You know, and personally, what I feel is happening is that because there's such a loss in masculinity, and true men stepping up to the plate and being the absolute best versions of themselves, women are like, you know what? If you're not going to step up, then I'm going to step up.
Yeah.
And with that said, then we are going to lead, and we're going to lead in the best ways that we possibly can until our fellow man stands up and does the same thing, because there's a lack of that happening. And I think that I see that happening culturally with us here in America more than anything.
Right.
Is that you're tampering down what a masculine man should look like and how he should lead his family, how he should lead his community and everything. And now you're seeing women that are looking around and saying, well, if that's not going to be done by you, it's going to be done by me.
Right. Yeah, no. And I get this vibe, especially like from my wife, is she looks to me to make decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She wants me to be like, hey, we're doing this and this is how it's going to go. She also wants me to make sure that I'm, asking her opinion. I feel that too. But, I feel like I get the sense from some women that, and I'm around a lot of very strong women a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah.
And, sometimes I do take cues from them. A lot of the times I take cues from them, especially if they know, what they're doing. It's all about competence and people knowing what they're doing. But even in those senses, I can tell, like, they're just waiting for me to be like, hey, like, take the reins. Like, I don't. Like, it might be a load off my chest to not have to, make the decisions all the time. You know what I'm saying? So, I feel like it's a dynamic that you kind of really got to be aware of. And I don't think either side, male or female, masculine or feminine, should, give up their power to the other. We got to both try and be an independent source and work together. Yeah.
I think you have to align with each other. If you find a male that is strong enough to lead and to pave the path, and you find a woman, like in your case, you have a very strong woman leader, that is aligned with you, she's going to support you through everything, and you're supporting her through everything, and that's that yin and yang that needs to exist, and in order for women to grow, they need to find a strong man that can lead. Like you said, they do look to you, because that's how we're meant to be. We're meant to lead where we can, but we're going to look to our fellow man to say, well, where are we going next? And if you're not going, then we'll go. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. There's a very deep strength in women that I find, like, it kind of scares me sometimes.
Right.
Like, it's like, oh yeah, they're ferocious for sure.
Yeah. And you find yourself one, and that's what I have found. And I'm glad that you asked the question, because in recent months, it's something that's been asked of me. Well, what are you looking for? You know what I'm looking for is, I know the support that I have to offer a man. If I find, somebody that is going to come around me, I can offer you the type of support that you have no idea that I have inside of me. You have no idea, but you damn better be worth it.
Oh, yeah.
And you better have some big goals and aspirations, because I'm going to pour the hell of myself into you. And I know that you're going to pour yourself into me with that in exchange.
Yeah.
So I know what I have to offer as far as femininity, and the strength that I have as a woman.
Yeah.
Because I embrace that now. I embrace that part of me. And in order for me to subject myself, to allow myself to be led by a man, you have to display that strength.
Oh, yeah.
And I will help but Jesus out of this person grow personally and mentally and emotionally, and I'll catch him if he falls, because I know he's going to catch me when I fall. But that's the need now.
Yeah,
It's like, I'm becoming my best feminine self, then I need to find the best masculine version of someone too.
You don't want to always be scraping him off the floor and
no.
trying to pick him up and build him up. We all got to save ourselves.
Yes,
I guess.
exactly.
No, I totally agree. Me personally, when I was up until I was about 6, my mom raised me by herself, and I was in that period specifically, I was raised by all women. You know what I'm saying? Like all the women in my family, like my godmother, my Aunt Sherry, my grandmother, they all took care of me, and all my mom's friend. It was like a little tribe, and everyone took care of me. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of odd, like, to think back on that and like just see myself now, because I do find myself kind of seeking out strong women for like just for like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a not consult, but it's like when you're looking for guidance and advice.
They're
and,
trusted advisors.
Yeah, they're like advisors.
That's a chief. Yeah, chief of staff is a trusted advisor.
Yeah.
Women are generally advisors because they can see things that you can't see.
Yeah.
Their brains allowed for them to see what happens if you go down this path, that path, or that path.
Yeah.
In a split of a second, and will be able to guide you down the right way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And allow you to do it by making your own choice, not because I told you to do it, but because I'm thinking it through for you. I'm helping you out here.
Oh yeah.
But you make the choice.
Yeah, because I mean, a woman can humble a man like very easily. You know what I'm saying? I have my guy friends too that I go to, and I try to like, counsel. That's the word I'm looking for. Like seek counsel. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you want to try and find strong people to do that, because you want them to be on the same level or even on a higher level than you, so they can point you towards the right direction. But like I was saying before, even like, just I understand that, like, even when I go to the chiropractor, like I chose like this really like cool strong lady that like she's really good at her job, that's why I go to her. But like I find that she has like not just in correcting my spine, but she's like a healer in some sense, you know what I'm saying? Even like with therapy, like my therapist is a female, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I find a lot of strength from her,
Yeah.
The lady that I work with at work, she's a therapist too, but we're kind of like a team, and we go and help kids in home services and stuff like that. But she is kind of like a spiritual like leader for me in some certain sense too, just because she's gone through so many crazy things, you know what I'm saying? So
right.
I definitely, and obviously our relationship here too,
right.
like we've gotten very, very close over the last year or so. And I appreciate that too. So it's like, I do find myself, looking to find counsel with women as well, because why not?
Right.
Like other perspectives always,
Yeah.
we can't just always be head down, looking in one specific direction,
Yeah. And to have the humility to know that it's got nothing to do with pride or ego for you to reach out to a woman. And if you look around you and if you just step outside of the globe and look around to see how many people do what you're doing, ego and pride don't allow them to look to women and really elevate them to that and say, your word is powerful and it means enough to me that it's going to influence my decision making. And it is true. If you step back and you look at people that are successful, people that are not successful, people that are arrogant, whatever, you name it, they have every excuse in the book while they'll reach out to a fellow man as opposed to a fellow woman.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, but it's true. We need more people that are going to be humble enough to say, I'm going to tap into the resource that I have here, because they have a different way of thinking that man doesn't generally have. And that's okay.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. Men have their strong traits and attributes, as do women.
Oh, yeah.
So let's tap into them. And it sounds like you're doing exactly that. That there's a trait in a woman that you can't always find in a man, and you're going to keep seeking it out no matter what. There's no separation because this is a woman or because it's a fellow man.
Right.
So that's badass.
Oh yeah. As far as like your journey with like chief of staff here at Premier Auto, how has that been? Like, are you enjoying that? Are you finding yourself flourishing in this environment? What are your struggles, obstacles, anything like that?
Yes, 100%. And I think that part of the challenge currently is that I have a mindset of better. So if I think that I haven't mastered the role yet, and I talk to my peers at work, and it's really that I haven't mastered this role, and until I master it, I'm not going to be completely fulfilled, because that's just how I am.
Yeah.
I started as the personal assistant to the CEO. So for me, it's a huge accomplishment to be able to make it from making, $11, $12 an hour, working for somebody, being pretty much what could have been like the water boy, like the errand lady, because that's what I was. I was running the errands. I was picking up the lunch. And for me, it was like, oh my God, like I got this really cool job, and, I'm secure, and I know he's not going to let me go and destroy my life, because before that's kind of what had happened. It's you have no connections to your people. So starting as somebody's go-getter or, doing things like that, to now being on an executive team and serving as a chief of staff, that really my whole role, the way I look at it and approach it, is I have to take care of my team. I have to take care of the CEO, and I have to take care of his employees. His employees have become what I refer to as my kids. And they're my kids. I'm going to help him take care of our kids. Like, these are our employees. Celebrate them, recognize them, pick up the pieces where I can. He does a lot of things that we don't talk about publicly for employees internally and people externally, that it's not publicized, and it's intentional, because we don't want to brag about all of the good things that he does for the community and that we proactively go out and do for our employees. But those are the things that I get to do that make me feel fulfilled. It's helping the people within our organization to help them succeed and become better, that I get the most reward from. And I get to go into work and do that every single day. And every day I get to go in and I get to work my ass off and show the team that maybe not every day is as productive as the last, because you get caught up in the minutia of what the office and kind of almost corporate world looks like. But to know that I can go in and work my ass off and show the team that I'm working. It doesn't matter where you are, where I am, or what we have plans for the day after tomorrow. Today I'm going to come in and I'm going to work the best of my ability. And they see that and they'll repeat that. And that's my mission right now. Is I'm going to work my ass off, because I'm going to show you nothing different than that. That's your leadership team. I'm awesome. Right here. I'm your leadership team.
Oh yeah.
So
sure. That's awesome. And yeah, you had recently kind of expressed to me that you were taken aback a little bit by someone who had approached you and was basically said, like, hey, I consider you my mentor. You know what I'm saying? Like, how is that feeling? Like, 'cause I bet that feels pretty good. It's probably a little bit startling sometimes, because we don't necessarily know how people perceive us, you know what I'm saying, because we're always in our own heads. But was that a good feeling? I'm sure it was.
It was humbling, because the irony of it is that I don't think this girl liked me very much. So when somebody asked her, do you have any mentors? Do you make sure that you keep mentors around that you can learn from? She just turns to me and she says, yeah, Elena, she's my mentor. And I was shook, because I don't think I've ever been categorized as somebody you look up to and want to be like. I was this broke single mom that could barely pay her bills, and today, I got one of the girls in the office calling me a mentor. So when did I blink and that happened? So it's it makes me want to do better and better and better, and it's like I have to, because now I'm seeing that it's just might seem like just one person in the office, but that one person in the office is going to go home and make a difference at home. And then maybe she teaches it to her son, or maybe she teaches it to her sister, and maybe she teaches something I teach her to anybody around her, and now that effect is going to multiply. So I just need to carry myself to it was really humbling and a big eye-opener that I need to be mindful and be more proactive about the choices that I'm making on my day-to-day basis, so that I can lead by example no matter what. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you name the day, 9 p.m. on a Friday night, I'm going to do something that somebody else would be like, I want to be like her.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm glad you said that, because literally, like, that's my whole premise for like this Cultivating You thing. You know what I'm saying? It all really started from from like the song The Man in the Mirror, you know what I'm saying, and the quote, be the change you wish to see in the world, you know what I'm saying. And it's like, you can't, if you want to go change the world, you don't start by going out and trying to change people. You start with yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And you make yourself the best version of yourself possible, and then at some point somebody else is going to be inspired by that, and they're going to see you elevating, and they're going to see you speaking out, and they're going to see you, and that sometimes just gives others permission, you know what I'm saying. It's like when they have it in them, they're like, I want to be able to do this or do this, and then they're like, oh, that person just did what I wanted to do, and
you
then
do
it's
that
like,
for me.
Oh yeah, well, cool. I appreciate that, but no, it's true though. It's like you get permission. It's almost like you get permission to do the things that you should, and then once once you start doing that more often, you realize that you had the power within you the whole time. You're just kind of holding yourself back.
And I want to help people find that power in themselves, because I feel like it took too long for me to find it. It took way too long for me to find it. And if you know,
That's debatable.
you're right. You know, I'm glad that you called me on that, because it's true. It is debatable. But if I can help somebody shave 5 years of time to put them on the journey of self-discovery to be the best versions of themselves possible, that's 5 years saved and 5 years of multiplication that we can do.
Yeah.
Where we can multiply that many people. So if somebody just is open-minded enough to allow me to help them pivot in a different direction today, and instead of them going down the same journey that I did, like you said, speaking out. I'm no longer embarrassed to have been a broke single mom 10 years ago. I'm no longer embarrassed that I would cry, you know, because I couldn't find it in myself to figure out what the hell to do.
Yeah.
I'm not embarrassed of that anymore, because now I know that there's other women out there that could benefit from hearing, oh, it can end one day. There is light at the end of the tunnel one day. I can be better than this. Yeah. And I want that for them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I want that for everybody.
Oh, yeah. No, that's awesome. Man, good stuff. Well, you do keep speaking on, you know, being a broke single mom, and like, how was that? That's got to be tough. I know it was tough for my mom. I seen some really horrendous things when I was a kid. My mom having black eyes, and, you know, from men who were abusive to her, and, you know, her doing everything in her power to make ends meet. And I think it's one of the reasons why I do seek out strong women, is because I've always seen my mother as one of the strongest women. You know, she's gone through some of the craziest things in her life, and she's still standing, she's still kicking, and she still has a lot of hope and you know, for life that I'm pretty amazed by, because I feel like most people would have been kind of, you know, surrendered, kind of gave up, you know, at some point, but she's still going. But yeah, I mean, if you're comfortable with it, how was that experience, and how formidable was it for you, and did it help you bring you to where you are today? Obviously. Well,
first and foremost, kudos to your mom for having raised you the way that she did, because that's badass. Everything that she's done for you, and for you to have the mindset that you currently do, to some point attributes back to who she is and how she raised you and her values and beliefs. It's hard. I mean, I was like her. I had the black eyes. The kids now, my kids are teenagers, and they're on the tail end of needing me very much, young adults, and having to review some of the traumas that they went through as kids. I don't share this at all with people, but I've spent the last 10 years trying to cover up and like show them the strongest version of me that I didn't even know could exist, because I didn't want them to see me as the person they saw me when they were small. Right. And that was the person that was crumbled, the person that was with black eyes, the person that was hiding things from family and friends, the person that was like, well, if they find out about that he did this, then maybe they won't let him around again. It's like, well, why did I do that? Number one, because I was weak, and I was dumb. And because I feel like I wasn't empowered enough to say, I'm better than this. And so I spent 10 years, and even now I can say that I obsess over the kids seeing nothing but armor-like strength when they look at mom. Because they already saw what weakness looks like. Yeah. They saw what I can look like weak. They saw what I can look like completely crumbled. And I make it my mission for them to see me pick myself back up, keep on going, and creating and finding the absolute best versions of myself spiritually, fitness-wise. You know, the fitness journey is a hard one.
It is.
Surrounding myself with people like you know, and they're texting me right now saying, that's so cool, Mom, you're doing a podcast. So, you know, like, they're sharing the wins, and for them, these are big moments, and I want to embrace that, and I want to show them to embrace it for themselves. Yeah, for sure. Being a single broke mom is by far the hardest thing I've ever done. Being alone and setting standards in place so that I don't let just common folks, you know, hang out around us. And I don't mean that in any offensive, derogatory way towards anybody, but I want people around us that have goals, that have dreams, that have high values, that have good beliefs. You were with me when we celebrated, you know, our kids' birthday with broccoli and grilled chicken and water. Like,
I was thankful because I was like in the middle of 75 hard, and I was like, this is a cool party.
I know, and I'm like, guys, I'm sorry, but this is my kind of party, so you're welcome to come if you want.
I had such a good time that night. I really did. We laughed a lot, like, and we were sober as birds. Like it was a really great time. Yeah,
just completely sober, and that's what I want my kids to see, that you don't have to subject yourself to those mindsets in order to have a good time. You know, they had a great time. Be the example.
Yeah.
And if it's not me, then it's like, oh, well, mom's friend over here. Oh, mom's friend over here. And we were a very small group that congregated with each other, but it was a powerful one. I think if you get us together again and we talk, you know, bigger things, bigger goals, bigger dreams, it could be another great gathering with each other.
Oh, yeah.
But those are the minds that I've realize make the most difference in my kids' lives. The journey that we've been down between a boxing gym, different, you know, we have 3 different gyms that we kind of have called home over the course of the last 5 years, and they've all made a stamp of I guess they put landmarks in what they've done for my kids and how they've raised them. So I can't genuinely say that I've raised them by myself. Because I've been open-minded enough to know that I can't do it alone. And sometimes it's taken somebody coming in for 5 minutes. Sometimes it's taking them being in my life for 3 months. Sometimes it's taking them being in my life for 5 years. But they've made an impact in the kids. And I've allowed that to happen because I know how important it is.
Absolutely.
That it's not just me.
Yeah,
that's in their ear.
Yeah, it takes a tribe.
It takes a whole tribe.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, like... especially with like our society these days, it almost feels like the family dynamic is losing its traction. Like it's like people are, I've never heard more than any other time I've been alive that people like don't want to have kids, and they don't want to get married, and they don't want to do these things, and that's all fine and great. But in my personal opinion, I feel like it's part of what's kind of bringing the country to the state that it's in a little bit is the fact that we don't have strong families. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have, a lot of families don't have both parents in their home. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of kids don't have their dads, and then it just keeps perpetuating this cycle. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you know, you always hear a lot of people talking about polyamory and things like this, where you're, you know, married to multiple partners or just with multiple partners, open relationships and stuff. And I think that affects the fabric of, especially affects kids, you know, in general. And it tends to like set them off on different paths. That's my personal opinion. I mean, I always want everybody to do whatever they want to do, but I just feel like that's kind of it's affecting our society. And I feel like if more people were loyal to each other and came together, worked together, like we were saying earlier, and raised really good, strong, stable children, that a lot of the issues in this world would probably like level out a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
And it shouldn't be normalized. You know, that's I had somebody tell me, you wear being a single mom like a badge of honor, and it's not a badge of honor by any means. You know, parents should want to co-parent with each other. If anything, I would, you know, fight tooth and nail for my kids to have a healthy parent on the other side, so that they could see him, so that they could visit with him, and they could have been influenced by him in a positive way. But I had to make the executive decision to say, no, that's not going to be the good thing. But it's normalized now. And I'm going to go down a little bit of a dangerous territory, but what did we grow up watching? Maury. You are not the father. And I'm sorry. I mean, yes, it's hilarious. And
Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. And I mean, I heard Jerry Springer in a podcast, you know, earlier this week, but, and that's kind of where that idea stems from a little bit, is we watched You Are Not the Father. How many single moms do you think walked their way through that damn show while we were still in our formative years? We're in our formative years, our brains are developing, and we're watching shows about women parading multiple men through a show to determine who the father is.
Right.
That screams danger to us. That's like red flag, red flag, red flag. That should not be appropriate. Why? Because we're teaching our girls to not value themselves, because we're not teaching our men to show value in who they are, how they carry themselves, how they treat women, and then women to stand up for this is my body and I'm going to protect it, and it's going to be a temple, and only however you define it, it doesn't matter as long as you respect yourself.
Right.
And if both parties, men and women, respect themselves, then they're going to be more prone to respecting the families that they create.
Yeah.
And instead, we are not the fathering, galore. And that's what happened. Here we are sitting with loads and loads of women. And then add to that, I had a transitional moment for about 2 or 3 years when you go from being severely low income to being no longer low income. This country is not built that way, because the minute that you are no longer considered low income, life has automatically become severely more expensive, but you do not qualify for shit no more.
Yeah.
Go pay for your own health insurance. Now you're low income.
You're back to low income.
Yeah, you're back to low income, but that doesn't mean that you're low income by the standards of, the government. You make enough money, you can pay for your own. But then you equate that, you add that up. You add up what it costs for a family of 3 to be fully insured and how much that costs you on a monthly basis. You are now broke again.
A reliable car,
all of it.
good food.
Yes.
Well, that's the problem. Is a lot of people know that. I've talked to multiple people who are like, well, I'm not going to strive and push harder because I'm going to lose all my benefits. And then it's like the structure of our society is forcing us to become dependent.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's not forcing us, but it's easier to be dependent than it is to push yourself and make something of yourself.
Yeah. What desire do you have to grow out of that income range if you know there's going to be some struggle in between? You have none. And I've seen it happen, and I was there, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I looked around me and I'm like, this is different. Like, I thought I would be so happy that I was making more money. Like, this sucks. Yeah. And it did suck.
Yep.
But you know what? I had to keep fighting because the other way wasn't going to be an option. I refused to be dependent on the government and being a single mom, trust me, the government wants to take care of me. They want to take care of me. They want to give me food stamps. They want to give me low-income housing. They want to give me free medical assistance. They want to give me all of it.
Yep.
Free daycare, you name it. As long as I'm not making a lot of money.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not, powering my brain. As long as I'm not getting a little bit healthier and I'm not surrounding myself with people that are successful that don't want to see me be that broke again.
Yeah.
If I allow it, that's the alternative. Yeah. And it's easy.
It's debilitating.
It is very debilitating, but it's easy. And I can turn around and I can quit my job tomorrow, and guess what? I'll pay my bills just fine. Yep. I'm not going to go anywhere with it. I'll have food on the table because food stamps will be right there waiting for me. Yeah. I'm not going to do it though. And I think that's the thing that we need to figure out how we can fix, because people continue to do that and they live underneath this cloud of government support because it's too hard to get above it.
Well, we're creatures of comfort.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're a lot of times, unless we're trained otherwise or raised a certain way, you're going to look for the path of least resistance. Exactly. And it's really sad because once you go down that road, now you're low income, right? You got EBT, right? You can use this shit in most grocery stores. You know what I'm saying? You're going in there.
You can use it for fast food now. I've seen the signs.
You can use it for fast food, and so you're eating poorly. You're low income. You're like, well, I don't have money to join a gym, and you're probably too lazy to go run or walk around your neighborhood. And you start eating poor food, and these poor foods affect your mental state. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Yep. You're becoming depressed. You're becoming anxiety ridden, and then you go to our shitty healthcare system, and then they just prescribe you a pill that doesn't do a goddamn thing. They're not prescribing you exercise. They're not prescribing you the things that you actually need. And then you just end up in this hole, this deep hole that is even harder to dig yourself out of. Like, you need a rope now, you need somebody to pull you out almost.
You literally need somebody to baby your way out of it, because now you're eating like crap. Your whole family's eating like crap. You can't find your way out of this dead-end job that you have because you've never tried to be better than that. You can't even think about picking up a book because why would you? Right. Everything's done. You live a comfortable life, no big deal, right? So you have no real quote unquote need to improve, but that's not true. And I think that's just all of the problem. And then, like you said, it's a pill. You're depressed. You
Yeah.
have anxiety.
Yeah.
You have this. You have that. Okay, well now not only are you unhealthy, I'm not going to use the term fat because I don't like the term fat, but you're unhealthy,
Yeah.
unstable, and completely dependent on medication to stabilize your brain.
Yep.
Well, you have no idea that you can stabilize your brain by doing a little bit of hardship for a few months.
Yep. And
It
yeah,
sucks.
and the independence of it comes when, and that's part of the, again, I'll go back to it. It's part of the reason I created Cultivating You, right? It's about being independent. It's about taking your health into your own hands so that, like me, I have to go to an endocrinologist every 2 years to get a medication because I have hypothyroidism. That's just something that I've had for a very long time, and I don't think I can get rid of it. But I'll sidetrack off onto this. I have stabilized it. So I just went a couple of weeks ago, and I've been on this medication for about 5 years now. I'll have to take it for the rest of my life. I'm actually on a mission to get off of it.
Oh, wow.
And I want to see if I can do this. But at the moment, I've been on it 5 years, and the doctor tells me, all right, it's very uncommon that you have been at the same dosage for 5 years. Every year, I typically have to up the dosage for people. And it's like,
Wow.
I know, like that it surprised me. I was like, cool. It was more validating because I know that I've actually been working towards healing my thyroid. Like cold plunging, ice plunging all the way up to the neck with your thyroid. Just eating healthy food, trying to go organic. I'll pay the extra money. I'll stop going out. I'll stop drinking as much. You know what I'm saying? I'll pay
You'll
more
do the
money.
things.
Yeah. So like, and over the past 5 years, I'm at the lowest dosage that anyone needs, and it hasn't bumped up. So that's like,
Congratulations.
yeah, that's like for me, I'm like, all right,
That's a win.
let's see if I can, if not completely eliminate it, stay at that dosage forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But so yeah, taking your health back into your own hands so you're not dependent on the health system. You know what I'm saying? Like, making yourself better, reading books, congregating with other people who know more so that you can, have more knowledge and be more competent and go into a workplace and be able to work yourself up the ladder if you want to be some type of entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody wants to go run a business, but a lot of people are really good at climbing the ladder and making a lot of good money. But once you make that good money and you're saving and investing, you'll get yourself to a point where you're no longer dependent on somebody else for your livelihood. You know what I'm saying? So it's all these things, they lead you to independence, to freedom, and we don't realize that we're slaves. We're trapped in the system, and the farther down you let yourself go, the more you're not even a human anymore. You're just basically running somebody else's program.
Yep, you're running somebody else's play, and the more that you continue to put yourself in a position where you're dependent on anything that's not someone you trust,
Yeah.
because you're not. You're really trusting the government to run your plays? Like you're trusting, EBT, and you're trusting low income house. You're trusting that.
What happens when they take all that away?
Yeah.
When the system collapses, you don't have anything.
Yeah, and then you had the opportunity to go be a manager somewhere, learn that, go find another job that pays you better as a manager. Okay, well now maximize that. Now go find a
Build
different one.
skills.
Yeah, build skills. Be the best you can possibly be, because then nobody can take anything away from you.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with that. And that was the really hard thing for me in asking for help. I never wanted it to be permanent because I was embarrassed by it. And a lot of people told me, as long as this is not what you want to do forever, then take the help because it's there. And that's when I'm like, okay, so I just got to take the help.
Don't be too proud.
Yeah, don't be too proud. Accept the help because I do need it, because I'm crumbling by myself. He never helped with anything.
Right.
So I did rely on the support but with the mindset of knowing this is not what I want forever. I need to get out of this. Like this is not, and I wish that more people had that same mindset. Otherwise, the day comes where they're like, all right, lights out, your house is gone. Where are they going to go?
Yeah.
They're going to come to our houses. The people that woke up and built better versions of themselves that have their own homes, and have their own spaces. And that's what we need to fight.
That's who you want to be, though. You
Yeah.
want to be that person. Like you kind of want to be that rock in your family.
Yeah.
I'm really glad we got into this conversation because I want to get into the Arete because Arete, did I say that
Arete,
right? Arete,
yeah.
Because I am like, a lot of these ideas have been inspired by the man himself, Andy Frisella, even Ed Milet. Like, I've been listening to him a lot lately too, and they're just very inspirational human beings, and they tell the truth.
Yes.
It doesn't matter whether you're this or you're that. Like, it's truth, and it's it's not held back.
Right.
And I think a lot of us are uncomfortable with hearing a lot of things because they trigger a lot of stuff within us, but sometimes we have to face opposing beliefs, even if the energy is a little bit strong, even if they're not presenting it to you in a gentle manner or something like that. The information, the words being said, what the message and the meaning is more important than any of that stuff that you see. You know what I'm saying? And so if anybody, I'm sure if you guys have been listening to me for any amount of time, you've heard me ramble on about 75 hard.
Yes.
Elena's done 75 hard in the past, probably. And I'm sure like you've seen me doing it and you're like, all right, fuck yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought I was like discovered it, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, no, actually my buddy sent it to me, but I was like, nobody knows about this. But it's now, since I've done it, I've heard of like 10 other people like randomly doing it. I'm like, this thing's really gaining traction, and it's awesome because it changes your life.
Yes.
Like it changes your life completely. Like, once you get on the level that you get on when you're on that program, even if you fall off, like I have a bit, but even getting off, it makes me more uncomfortable that I fell off than I used to in the past when I'd fall off of disciplines and things like that. It like makes you aware of how shitty it feels to not feel good.
Yep.
Because I was functioning at such a high level. I was I'll keep saying it was the best I've ever felt, and even for just a 4-month period, it was the best I ever felt in my entire life, bar none. Spiritually, I was just more grounded than I've ever been, and more in tune with myself and energy than I've ever been. Discipline was just like clockwork. It was just it. And maybe you hear this a lot, maybe you don't, but discipline is freedom. Yep. It really is. When you don't have a discipline, you're just kind of at the whim of God, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when you take your life into your own hands, it's easier for you to say no.
You're at the mercy of life circumstances.
Yes, exactly.
And life circumstances are going to come. They're going to be pretty. They're going to be ugly. They're going to hurt. Sometimes they're going to be fun. But life circumstances are going to smack you whether you like it or not. Yeah. And
you might as well be prepared and feel good.
You might as well be disciplined to bring it on.
Yeah.
You might,
because it's going to come no matter what.
Yeah, it's going to come. It's going to hit you.
But yeah, so again, if you haven't heard of the program, Andy Frisella, Real as Fuck Real AF podcast on Spotify. Check it out. It'll change your life. Do you remember the episode? Is it 254?
No, I'll have to look it up. I think it's episode 208.
Oh, 208 or 254.
I believe it's 208, if I'm not mistaken.
Listen to it. It will change your life. But anyway, Andy Frisella and he's business partners with Ed Milet, right?
Yeah, well, for Arete.
For Arete?
Yeah.
They did. Okay, so that's not Andy's first form business partner?
No.
Oh, is that?
So
this guy's like a kind of a shadow. I don't know who he is.
Ed Milet has his own business entity, so they've collaborated to create Arete Syndicate, which is...
So they created this. Okay.
Yes.
Now it's clear for me.
Yeah, so they're two business owners that what their purpose is to give out information to people that are also business owners or entrepreneurs, like we talked about, leaders within their organizations, to help them build just because that's what they've already figured out.
Right.
So they're, friends and mentors amongst themselves, but they're the kind of collaborators of this group.
Right.
On their own, they have their own businesses.
It's a cult. Let's be real.
It's a cult. It's the best cult in the world.
Yeah. No. So you went to the conference. Was it 2 weeks ago or last week?
Last weekend.
Yeah. How was it?
It was the best experience. I would hands down 10 out of 10. If anybody has extra money laying around, $5, start putting in a piggy bank. But if there's ever one in the next year again, I'd recommend to anybody.
Yeah.
People that have the same belief systems, people that want to feel passion, people that want to find a journey for themselves with the right values. This is it.
Yeah.
And good law-abiding American citizens that want the right thing for people
and for America
and for America.
Yeah. No, I feel that. And it's like we said, like kind of before the podcast, it's like some of us are always searching for like-minded people or people who are inspiring or people that want to, get together and have a think tank or, like build businesses or talk about investing, things like that. And you don't necessarily see them all the time. They're kind of, they're very, rare people almost.
Right. Needle in a haystack.
Yeah. So it's like when you get to a place like this, it's like all of those people congregating in one spot, and then there's electricity, it's energy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like everywhere you look, there's someone you can really learn from or be motivated by or teach someone. You know what I'm saying? So I find that very, very cool. And like I told you, I was peanut butter and jelly. Like their guest speaker was David Goggins, the baddest man on the planet.
Yep.
And I'm excited to hear because Elena here actually got to speak to the man, ask him a question, and I'm very curious as to what he said.
Did I tell you what the question was already?
No, you didn't. You
Okay,
haven't told me.
that's
I've
awesome.
been making it a point not to even
Okay.
ask. Like I wanted to have you like break it
Well,
down. But,
he spoke and he's powerful in himself.
I bet.
If you've never heard his book or read his book, I 10 out of 10 again recommend. You need to.
I've read both of his books.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, when asked and prompted, if anybody in the audience has questions, I think there's 2,000 to 3,000 people in this room.
Yeah.
And I hesitated for a blink of an eye, just a blink, because something that I've been learning recently is to be intentional. And I thought to myself, I hesitated, but my first thought was to put my hand up because I already know what question I'm going to ask him.
Yeah.
So my hand just shot back up. I wasn't expecting to be the second one in line to ask him the question.
Nice.
So a guy comes up with his mic and sits next to me and he says, okay, you're the second one. Okay, after this guy goes, you're next. I was like, oh shit. And I started shaking, and I mean, you can hear I feel like I was ready to cry because David Goggins has played a big role in my life. And that's something that I was not openly sharing with people. So much so that I have my daughter. So like, she's so ingrained with these values too that she believes in Goggins too. She's read his books. We went out to Coronado Island. My boss sent us as a little thank you back in December. And what she wanted to do was she wanted to go to, if she could see where the SEALs train, because of David Goggins.
That's badass.
Yeah. So like those are the things that they find now inspiring. They're the role models to them. So anyway, I knew already what I always knew what I'd ask him given the opportunity. So I'm a single mom. And I said, I finally, when my turn, I said, I know you were raised by a single mom. And I said, I'm a single mom of 2 teenage kids. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It was a moment where I felt like for the first time in a long time, I said something out loud in a room of thousands of people. That was my truth.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
And when I heard it come out of my mouth, I'm like, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
And I don't say that. People are like, you're such a good mom. And I'm like, over my shoulder, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, but I don't know what I'm doing. That's how I feel when I get these compliments. It's like, I appreciate your thoughts and, your kind words. But, and I said that. I said, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I said, and all I know is that I have to send out 2 good humans out into society, into this country, to be good. I said, what advice do you have for somebody that doesn't know what the hell she's doing, but wants to do the best that she possibly can? And he said, more chores, discipline. He says, that world out there is hard.
Yeah.
Teach them before they have to learn it themselves. My mom didn't know what the fuck she was doing either. He said, I had to learn a lot of this shit on my own. He said, so teach them, give them chores, be hard. And to me, it made me pick my shoulders up a little bit because that is what I do.
Yeah, it's what you're doing. It's like validation.
It was validation. Yeah. And to hear it from somebody that has put himself through freaking hell.
I'm going to come to your house and your kids are just going to be painting it outside. There's going to be roofing.
Yeah, no. Poor kids. Yeah. No, they get it, you know, and to hear somebody like a David Goggins say to me that the things that I'm doing are not wrong when other people have passed judgment on how hard I am on my kids, that I need to soften up a little bit, I need to be a little bit more of this, I need to be a little bit more of that, and in the back of my mind, I would always say, but why? Like, yeah, maybe I should. And my own lack of confidence has allowed me to believe those things and think, well, maybe I'm not that good of a mom.
Well, I think that's what the lesson almost is right there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it's David Goggins. I'm waiting for this like profound answer or like this something. And it's like something so simple and basic that you're already doing. And it's just like, oh, I just got to quit doubting myself. Almost.
Yes. And that's what I felt, you know, I felt in that moment and throughout all of Arete, but in that moment when Goggins answered my question, I'm like, okay, I can let go. Yeah. Like, I've been holding on to something that I didn't realize I'd been holding on to for so long. And that was the validation of people around me. Yeah. When he answered my question, and this is the guy that's considered the baddest man, you know, telling me that everything I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing to make sure that these kids don't turn out like another statistic. Right. Because that's something that I mean, over my dead body, will they become a statistic? Right. And he told me what I'm doing is the right thing. And I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. And there's nothing, I mean, the excitement, you got some text messages from that. And I had a couple other friends here in Tucson that are familiar with Goggins, that they're like, I can feel your excitement through the text.
Oh God. When you sent me the picture of Goggins, like looking at you, and I was just like, oh, like, you know, the meme where Jonah Hill's like,
I was like, I know, and the people around me felt it too. Yeah. They're like, I got a picture of him looking at you, and I'm like, send it to me. Here's my number. We'll meet later.
It's so badass. Yeah. I love it.
So, you know, that was little old Tucson me, and I meant that. It's, you know, we grew up in the same neighborhoods. We grew up in the same schools with the same people, and you know, here's this girl that grew up down Miracle Mile, walked through the cemetery to get to Amphi High School, screwed up all of freshman year, and here I am in this room full of people that want nothing but the best for themselves and other people. Yeah. And I get to ask David Goggins a question.
That's beautiful.
To me, that is, I could give two shits about Taylor Swift. Yeah. Good kudos, great music and everything, but David Goggins, you know, and the room of people, the caliber of people that were in that room are the people that I want to aspire to be like, because I feel like every one of them has something that they can teach me, that they can teach somebody else, and they're out there doing it without hesitation, without asking for anything in return, and they're avid followers of the same people that I am. Yeah. That's badass.
That is badass. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. No, I think one thing I did, a little bracket I wanted to open up on what you were saying too is, you know, this kind of validation that we get from people and even just criticisms, you know, it's okay to like feel good about those things. But one thing that's always served me well, I forget where I heard it from, but when somebody criticizes you, you know, pay it no mind, but you also have to do the same thing when somebody you know, compliments you too. Because I feel like sometimes when we get validation from people and we kind of take it in and we really like run with it, we kind of put ourselves on a high horse, or like we boost our own egos and things like that. And it's always served me well to, you know, almost kind of like shoot the compliment down. Like, well, not to them personally, like be nice. I usually be nice about it, but within myself, be like, don't listen to that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a lot farther to go, you know?
Yeah. And the irony of it is that's why it's so hard for me to ever take a compliment. Yeah. You know, with the kids, you're such a great mom. And I don't know how to respond, because internally I'm like, I got a long way to go to be a great mom.
Well, even last night when I messaged you, I was like, I know you've been hearing this a lot, but like, good job. You know, like I was trying not to be like, hey, go super mom.
Yeah, no, because that's true. I don't take that into account. And, you know, thank you to everybody that's always said great, beautiful things to me. But it's so hard for me to believe it, and I believe it that from an outside perspective, I give those optics, you know, like, oh, she's such a great mom, she's so driven, Yeah. Internally in my head, it's not good enough. I have a long way to go. Right. Like, I'm still not the best that I can be, because yesterday I probably could have done 100 things differently that would have made me a badass mom. but I only did what was at my capacity then.
Right.
So what does it look like to keep going and going and going and going? And like you said, it's like shoot the compliment down. Unintentionally, I shoot all compliments down.
Yeah.
But what I need to work on is how you respond to people so that they don't get offended by it, because they mean well.
Yeah.
You know, they do mean well. Sure. They want you to hear that validation and to hear the lovely things and all that stuff. So.
No, that's kind of a skill too, is that I've been kind of cultivating a little bit, is trying to tell people the good things about themselves, like when I'm with them, because I actually learned this from a dude that I used to work with, and I think it was just his natural nature, like it was his nature, it was his instinct to be this way, but he always like found that little quirk in you, or that little funny thing, or that cool thing that you really did that nobody else ever really talks about, but he found it, and he was like, dude, you do this all the time and I think it's great, or like this, and like it makes people feel seen and heard, like, and that's what people really just want. They want to be acknowledged and stuff like that, and I think that's a great skill to have as like a leader, as like a person in general, and to really mean it though, like find that thing. And for me it comes kind of easily too, because I'm always searching for the best in people. You could be a shithead, you know what I'm saying, but I'll like look for that glimmer of like you know, you have a lot of potential, you know. I'll find that in you, but I'm trying to work on being able to verbalize it to those people, because I think it's important.
And that's also different to where we are now. You know, where I am today certainly allows for me to back burner some of the compliments, because I know I've come a long way from where I was before. Yeah. But 10 years ago, me could have benefited from somebody that said, and I did benefit from it. It was, ironically, was a police officer, you know, that told me that I'm better than this. Yeah. It's that. Well, you know, what mindset are you in? And that's why it's so easy sometimes for us to shell it out to other people and see their blind spots and say, hey, you're really good at that.
Because they don't see it themselves.
They might not see it themselves, and they may not be where we are today, where it's like, oh, like that's true. And it may wake something up in them that they need. Yeah. And the version of me 10 years ago could have benefited from something like that. Did I get it? No. I mean, yes, the journey was long, and it sucked and all that fun stuff. It was worth it. I loved every bit of it. But if I can go back and look at different areas where I could have done better at, okay, well, what can I do to help other people reach that? And that's where I think we come in, and how you communicate to other people good things about them, so that they can start to empower themselves. And
absolutely. And I think earlier when I said like pay the criticisms no mind, I didn't actually mean that. I think you take the criticisms more serious than you do the compliments. Oh yeah. But you got to be able to discern whether or not, I think we had this when we were speaking at the boxing gym, I kind of brought this up, but like discern whether or not the person is projecting onto you a criticism of themselves that they see in you that they don't like, you know what I'm saying? Or if it's like an actual blind spot of yours that you can improve, because it'll criticisms hurt, but if there's a little bit of truth in them that you know deep down, like that's something you have to probably start working on a little bit, you know. And it's okay to have bad things, you know what I'm saying? Yep. We just have to be like, okay, I'm just not there yet. I'm not good at it yet. You know, it's like, it's okay. I'm shitty still. Yeah. But don't talk to yourself like that.
No, but you need to have people in your circle that are going to be able to help you identify those blind spots and communicate them to you and articulate them to you in a respectful way, that you know that it's coming from a good place. Yeah. You know, if you have people around you that are like, hey, Tony, you know, when you record that podcast, like make sure the bees are gone, or you know, like, exactly. I don't know, I can't think of anything to give you feedback on right now, but you get what I'm saying. If you find people that are going to give you that constructive criticism that you need to hear to improve and to grow, keep those people. It's the other side of the criticism that you don't want to pay no mind to. And that I learned to separate the difference more as I begin to follow Ed Milet and, you know, Andy Frisella and all these people, if I fall off the wagon of 75 hard, and I've already made some friends within them, they're going to call me on it. If I've not prepared well enough, if I've not prepared my food, if I didn't plan far enough ahead to know that I'm going to be traveling on this day or that day and I didn't get the workout in, and they're going to say, well, did you prepare? Yeah. No. Do I want to hear that? Hell no, I don't want to hear that, because I have a busy life and I
Well,
won't. Yeah,
it's like, well, then why are you bitching?
Yeah, exactly. But it comes from a good place, because they want to see you win. They want to see you be successful, and they want to see you be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have found that I've gravitated towards the people that are going to do that for you, that are going to call you on your blind spots and identify them to help you just be the best you can be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Well, awesome. This conversation has been quite phenomenal. I am going to wind down the episode here a little bit, but because we are on Cultivating You, I do have one last question. And that question is something that I'm hoping you can give to others and give a little bit of maybe recommendations are on anything. But as far as like personal development, personal growth in any aspect, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, is there anything that you do on a regular basis? Like, is there any disciplines that you have? Are there any practices that you do? Is it even in your work life with people? Is there something that you're kind of focused on that helps you? Like it's like a lesson you've learned, or a tactic that you've learned to make yourself better or others around you better, or maybe just focus on what has helped you flourish a little bit.
I really do attribute a lot of what I do on a weekly and daily basis. How is this going to benefit me tomorrow?
Yeah.
How is this going to look? How is this action or this day going to impact who I am next year?
Right.
And it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know, we all screw around and we do dumb things, and we'll waste 2 or 3 hours here and there, and we'll, you know, waste a Friday night going out with, you know, whoever, friends, family, whatever. But if you really look at your day, am I going to remember this a year from now?
Yeah.
It changes everything.
Right.
You know, in the mornings, I used to get up and put music on, and it became a routine, creature of habit. We're all creatures of habit. So that was my habitual thing. I came to learn that by implementing a podcast or a book or something, like now I'm a percentage better.
Right.
Music is going to be there for me no matter what. I love music. It's therapy. But if you can implement one habit, one thing, just one thing, like replace music with a podcast.
Yeah.
Just your favorite one. It doesn't have to be Andy Frisella. I love him and I adore him and I advocate for everything that he has to say. But there's tons out there that are going to help. Which one speaks to you?
Yeah.
Start somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you start with a 15-minute podcast a day, your life is going to be different in a month. Just give it 5 minutes, give it 10 minutes, and then incrementally give it 20. And then the next day or in a week or in a month, you're like, okay, well, I conquered that. Now I can give 30 minutes of my time to be better.
Right.
Now I can give an hour. And before you know it, it's going to become it's so incrementally big that it changes everything. It changes the way the foods you choose to pick up. It changes where you decide to work out. It changes who you decide to hang out with. If you're going to have a backyard barbecue with broccoli and grilled chicken with people, you know, because that's what it became. I could in a fraction of a second find 15 friends that want to come and have beer at my house and stay up until 3 a.m.
Yeah.
That's easy to find. You know, what's not easy to find is to find 12 good friends that are totally okay with your lifestyle, embrace it. And if anything, they're grateful that that is your lifestyle because it just so happens to be theirs too. Because I didn't do that to cater to you. I didn't do that to cater to anybody. I did that because that's my lifestyle, that of my kids. And you're welcome to be a part of it. You don't gotta be, but this is what we're serving. And that's what I think. It's just one thing. Start with 15 minutes a day. Yeah. What are you going to do today? Is it going to be meditation? Maybe you find a podcast. Maybe you pick up a book, watch a documentary instead of a stupid show on Netflix, like all those things. But start with an incremental 15 minutes and then tack on another 15 and then another. And you'll see where your time is truly valuable.
Amen, mother.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, good
awesome.
deal.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast today, and hopefully in the future we can do this again and kind of, you know, open up some other doors and see how we've, you know, progressed since now. And I wish you all the best, all the luck in the world. I know you don't need it, but it was a pleasure having you on. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Till the next time, we'll see you later.
Thank you.